Good morning. Thanks for joining us here from the Mission Control Center. We're here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, and I'm pleased to be joined by Heather Rarick, a flight director here for the ISS Flight Control Team. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
And you're also a native of Pittsburgh as well, right?
Yep, same state, Pennsylvania.
So we're looking forward to hearing your questions. Go ahead and start.
How big of a role do communications play with being a flight director?
Extremely important. That's essentially my job, in addition to making decisions, is the communicating to both to the team here in Mission Control those decisions. It's also communicating with the astronauts on board International Space Station. So it's a major role and a very important one.
How important is it to react quickly and confidently when working?
It's extremely important. The space station functions, and the astronauts that live aboard the space station are reliant on everybody here in Mission Control to make good decisions and make them in a timely fashion and make them confidently that we know what we're doing. The way we do this is by years of training, so the training plays into our ability to be confident in the answers we choose and the decisions we make.
And also, you guys have a lot of sims, right, to practice
right.
When things go wrong, so that probably is a big confidence builder for the team.
Absolutely. So part of the training that we do is there's a lot of workbooks that we read and study, training materials, and then we try to practice what we do, which is, so it's a simulation, so it's an environment that looks very much like this Mission Control, and we actually practice not the way things are supposed to work, but the way things work when they fail. So when we have problems, then we have an opportunity to see how we respond to those scenarios. And some of the simulations are very stressful and are somewhat unrealistic in that we have so many failures that it's not a real day. But if you can handle that in a very stressful environment in a easy and confident way, then you know you can do your job on a daily basis.
Thank you. What responsibilities are part of your job of being a flight director in Mission Control?
Well, our responsibilities are to make sure that we take care of the astronauts on board. So the primary responsibility is the safety of the crew members. Our secondary responsibility is the safety and control and maintaining a livable atmosphere and workplace for the astronauts, and that's space station. So our primary responsibility being the crew, then our secondary responsibility is the place they live, which then also supports their safety. Then the third thing that's important for us is the mission objectives. So there are science objectives, experiments that are performed, there are spacewalks that are done to build the space station or add on different elements. So those all contribute then to the mission objectives, which are the purpose for having a space station.
What do you find most difficult about your job?
Yeah, great question. I don't know that any one part of it's difficult. It's exhilarating, so it's a lot of fun. It is hard in that you do have to make tough decisions. I think maybe the toughest thing was realizing the responsibility I took on when I accepted the job. And so knowing that people depend on me, both the astronauts and their families, NASA, the country, other countries that are involved in space station, and what we do for all of mankind, I think that responsibility has probably been the hardest thing for me, is just realizing that I've accepted that and I need to do my best.
Thank you.
I'm Aaron. So,
hi, Aaron.
What kind of education? Oh, hi. So, what kind of education or training do you need to be a flight director?
I think right now, up until now, almost all of us have been engineers. So all of us have gone to college for engineering, some form of it. Many of us are aerospace engineers, but we also have chemical and electrical, mechanical engineers as well. That's the primary educational responsibility or expectation. Also, to be a flight director, then you have to usually serve some time in some other role in mission control so that you understand the protocols and the expectations for being in this room and the responsibility it holds.
And I think maybe a lot of students don't know what engineering is when you're studying that. What can you tell them on a day-to-day, matter? What does an engineer do, and what types of things are you learning?
So engineering is a lot like your science classes in that you have to have a logical progression of ideas. So when you do like a science experiment or project, you start with your hypothesis and you formulate a plan and procedure. It's that critical thinking that gets you through all those steps and understanding the logic between what you want to do and how you do it. So in engineering classes, you'll study how a propulsion system might work, so you'll understand the different components of an engine and how those all work then together, and then the different elements. So those are the things that when you can understand those in a logical and easy way, then you can apply that same thinking to almost any problem or project that you have. And so that's why engineering becomes important in this role.
So you're expert problem solvers.
That's what I like to think of it as.
Absolutely, and I think engineers are some of the unsung heroes because everything that we use every day was probably designed by an engineer somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it wasn't an engineer, they were thinking like an engineer, most likely to get it built or designed or used. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead with your next questions.
What characteristics do you feel are important within your position?
Well, like I mentioned, the critical thinking, the problem solving, just being able to see also at the flight director level, you need to see all the systems working together. So individually, there's several different positions in the room behind me here. They're each responsible for their individual system. So like the environmental control, so that'd be your life support, the oxygen, the pressure of the space station. So they focus on that specific system, that person focuses on that system. But then there's one for propulsion and motion control. There's one for thermal control. So all of those then have to work together and add up to being an integrated system. And that entire space station then at the flight director position is what we need to look at, is how does it all work together, and is each answer for one system the right answer for the whole station. So that's one of the most important things. Making decisions and not being afraid to make decisions, and knowing the risks that you're taking with those decisions, and being able to weigh that all in a very timely fashion, very quickly, and thinking through all that. That's several of the key aspects of it.
Thank you.
Hi. What were the other jobs that you personally had that led up to the one that you have now?
Early on, I worked in the space shuttle program. I did flight design, so I helped build trajectories for the shuttle. I did the ascent and the aborts on the ascent. Those were mostly guidance, navigation, control type trajectory workings. Then the other thing I did, I think that led to the flight director role, was the working with the Russians. I worked as an interface for space station, the U.S. portion with the Russians, because we work very, very closely together. And in the operational world, that's a daily responsibility to keep in sync with them and make sure that we're working toward the same objectives. So I think those two things played a large role in moving toward the flight director job.
All right, thank you.
Hi. What is the most valuable lesson you've learned working as a flight director for ISS?
Oh my goodness. I've learned a lot of lessons, maybe not just one. Certainly, I've been around for a few failures that have occurred, and I think each time I've been exposed to a failure, I've learned on how to do it better the next time. Some of the things, one of the main things was I don't always have all the information, and I need to make sure I get the right people involved to help solve the problem, especially when it's just bigger than one person to do.
Thank you.
So let me say, all those group projects you do, those are all important. You really learn how to work well and learn that you need each other to be part of the solution.
I hear lots of laughing. They must do a lot of group projects.
Hey. How did you become part of the Russian Joint Operations panel?
Maybe nobody else wanted to do it. I can't remember. There was an opportunity there. I had spent some time traveling back and forth between the U.S. and Russia, and had gotten to know many of the people in the Russian control room and how they operated. And so there was a position for that panel to be chaired, and I offered to do it, and the office that was responsible for it said I should do it, and so just kind of worked my way into it.
And what kind of things did you do there?
So we did some planning for operations, and that would include when, like when we would do spacewalks, like what the timing and the expectations were. There are a lot of coordination that goes into a spacewalk. If you're going toward, let's say, like the Russian segment has engines on it, and you don't want a crew member to be near the engines in their spacesuit. So we would have to work on coordinating the timeline so that we knew when the Russian thrusters needed to be on and when they needed to be off based on the activities of the planned spacewalk. So we did those types of things to coordinate and make sure we all understood how we would execute and keep everything safe.
Thank you.
Hello. As a software executive engineer, what type of work was involved with that job?
So I did this work as a rotational assignment to headquarters, the NASA headquarters. So I was only there for about 10 months, but in that 10 months, the project that I was assigned to support, the software executive, was a benchmarking effort. So myself and several other people in the software group around NASA got together. It was a small team of about 5 or 6 people, and we interviewed both, let me say, NASA centers, industry, so different companies, a couple defense agency elements, DoD type organizations that did software, and then some universities that were very involved in software projects. And we collected information and data about how they did different things, like how they bought software, if they were using it as part of their deliverables, their product software, and let's see, how they did standards, how they did process changes, how they did their testing, how much they spent time on testing. So we did a benchmarking effort and then wrote a report, and that report I think is available at NASA somewhere. And that's been used to help us determine where we need to do better in the future at NASA to make sure our software projects are all tip-top.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I have 2 questions for you. First of all, what would you consider to be the most interesting or memorable experience you've had on the job?
Yeah, I think watching the crew members, I did a shuttle flight, and so watching the shuttle crew arrive to space station and then watching them depart and seeing the emotions that the crew members had when those guys came and left, and how important the human interaction is for all of us, and even people that are brave enough to spend 6 months aboard space station.
Okay. And have you ever had a time where you doubted yourself or were unsure of what to do?
Yeah, I think that happens to everybody. But yes, and that's where you have to trust your instinct that maybe you don't know all the information and you have to go get additional information to make your decision or to press forward.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin, and I would like to ask you what inspired you to be what you are today?
So I think I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I saw the landing on the moon, and I think ever since that has stuck with me, and I've always wanted to be part of the NASA programs and what they do here with human spaceflight.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. What do you consider to be the most important aspect of flight safety?
That's a tough one. For flight safety, I think we have a lot of planning that goes into making sure things are safe before we ever fly. So the design of the spacecraft has a lot of rigor in how it's designed and tested. And then we have a lot of tolerance for failure. So we have, instead of having one computer, we have 3 computers that do the same job. So if one fails, there's 2 more that'll work while you can fix the 3rd one. Then the other thing I would say is training, is to be, very prepared. And the more we train and are prepared, the safer everything is.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Francisco. I have 3 questions. What did NASA learn from the unmanned rocket that exploded in October?
I don't know that we've learned anything yet. but there is data that is coming forward, and as we see the data, we will certainly learn some things. Since there were no humans on board that spacecraft, that's a great thing that we do learn every time something negative happens. But we have to look at the data and see what it tells us so that we can figure out what did go wrong, and every time we have something go wrong, then we figure out what was it that caused that, and then what do we do to prevent that in the future. So we do take lessons learned very seriously at NASA, and we learn from all different events, even the Virgin Galactic event that happened shortly after the orbital Cygnus spacecraft event. Both of those will be reviewed, and anything that's applicable to our environment, which will likely be something, we will look at our processes that are similar and make sure that we don't have the same flaws.
What does NASA do after such an event, and what measures are taken in advance to prevent these things from occurring?
So we do a lessons learned process with all of our events. We had a spacesuit that leaked water into the helmet, and that has taken over a year, but we have tried to diagnose what caused that problem, and for everything that we find that could be a cause, we then look for a way to solve that problem or make it better and prevent it from happening again. So everything that we do, we take time to review it. Even our successes, when we complete a 6-month increment with a set of crew members, we take a couple meetings and review all the things that may have been problems or potential problems, and we try to find solutions to prevent those from happening again. So we do that on a routine basis here.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my question is regarding the Philae probe that landed on the 67P comet recently. Do you know what the Europeans hope to discover with that mission, or was the mission primarily to ensure that landing on a comet is possible?
I don't have the details of that mission, but it is so exciting to hear that they actually landed a probe on a comet, since it's never been done before, and it is quite a feat. They had to kind of chase the comet for a long time to be able to get to it. I'm sure they're going to collect data now that it's on the surface of the comet or at the comet, so they'll be collecting data on it. So it's scientific research to understand our solar system better, and then also just to, can we accomplish these types of things?
Do you think NASA will perform similar missions in the future?
So I think we're still working on the asteroid redirect mission, so that's still in the planning stages, but working toward sending a spacecraft to an asteroid is in our future, hopefully, and we're working toward that, yes.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I wanted to know what an average workday looks like for you. Is it a strict routine, or is it very unpredictable?
Yeah, what happens on console is always unpredictable. You can't really plan for it. That's why we try to stress ourselves in these sims so that we have an idea that we don't know what's going on, just to kind of reinforce that idea. A typical work day is the first hour of working in mission control is a handover, so the team that's been here for the previous 8 or 9 hours tells us what's going on both the astronauts and the systems, and then from there we get right into either taking care of the astronauts and the activities that they're working on that day, or addressing any system issues if something's not working properly. When we think that everything's kind of working well, we always have additional planning activities so that we can prepare for the next day or the day after and make sure that everything that we're planning to do for those days is all in order, and that it'll be accomplished easily without any questions or issues.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? I have a question for you, and it is: do you have teams working under you, or is it just a few individuals?
So the mission control room on the weekend and nights is down to 4 or 5 people. So at night it's a very small team, but during the Houston workday, Monday through Friday, I think there's about 25 people in the room, and so those are the people in the room that are working during the Houston Workday. There are also people supporting meetings and all doing other planning activities for further out. So we usually take care of today and tomorrow and the next couple days here in the control room. But if we're talking about next week or next month, then we have other people supporting that as well. So it's a large number of people.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Bijan, and I have two questions. My first one is it very competitive to get a career in NASA?
I think it is competitive. I know a lot of people start at NASA through the co-op program, and I think it's been changed to called Pathways now. But that program is very competitive. There's a lot of college students that apply to work there through that program. So I think it's difficult to get in, but once you get in and you're successful in doing your job here at NASA, I think then you can look forward to a long and promising career.
Okay, and my second question is, on average, how much time does it take to prepare and launch a rocket?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. I think the way I understand because I don't do the rocket part of the space flight, it takes about at least 2 years to build a rocket. And so in that time frame, we are also building either a spacecraft or supplies to be put on that rocket. So I think it's about 2 years long for that process.
Okay, thank you.
What is the average cost of a flight that you prepare?
I don't have the data on the cost. I don't know that one. Sorry. Do you have another question?
Okay, thanks. Oh, no, that's it. Thank you.
If I wanted to get to your position later on in my life, what would be the most important thing that I could do?
I think an engineering degree would be the most useful. And then I think if you want, then try to get a position at NASA and spend some time in the mission control, and you could work your way there.
And do you ever get to take a vacation?
Yes, I get to take a vacation.
Okay, thank you.
How is calculating trajectory and flight path different when you're in space versus on Earth or on another planet's atmosphere?
So you have to take into account the gravitational forces and the different atmospheric forces as well. So depending on what planet you're on, that'll tell you what those variables would be. And then, when you stay, airplanes fly at a certain altitude at all times, or max altitudes are different than the rockets that try to leave the atmosphere. So those are the different elements for, Earth transportation versus near Earth transportation.
Thank you.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, Alex.
Do the astronauts wear any specific type of clothing inside the ISS?
They take personal clothing. Most of it is shorts and pants and t-shirt type polo shirts. I don't think I've ever seen them wear a suit. It's very casual clothing. I think the most unique thing about it is they usually throw everything away when they're done wearing it, since we have no way to wash it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam.
Hello, Sam.
What type of exercises do the astronauts do to prevent muscle atrophy?
Okay, so there's a couple different exercise pieces of equipment on board space station. We have a treadmill, so they do some running. Of course, they have to bungee themselves to the treadmill so they don't fly off of it as they run. They also do a resistive exercise device, somewhat similar to like a Bowflex machine that has like the rubber band type exercise that's not weights but resistance. And then they also had a cycle ergometer, which I don't know if they still use very often, but they do have a bicycle type apparatus as well.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Zachary. I imagine the astronauts probably have a lot of downtime on the space station. Do you have any idea what they would do for fun?
So they are limited on their downtime. They only get a couple hours in the evening before they go to sleep, and then the weekends they do have free time, although their Saturday morning is dedicated to cleaning. Just like all of us that have to clean our rooms on Saturdays. They clean the space station on Saturdays. Then their downtime, what I know that they do is they call their family and friends. They have an IP phone, so a phone that works through the computer system. They can call anywhere in the world, so they call people and talk quite frequently. They can watch movies or videos. They also have access to the internet, so I know they do some computer work and email. And then I think one of their most favorite activities is watching outside the windows, just seeing the views of Earth. They take a lot of pictures, almost more than we can download at one time. They have beautiful video and photos. If you haven't gone to the NASA website, you should go look at it. The Borealis, the Aurora Borealis, and the sights of the cities at night with all the lights. They also look for different weather and Earth activities. So they've seen some fire events like out in California. They've also seen volcanoes and hurricanes. So they spend a lot of time just looking out the window and taking pictures.
Okay, and I think we only have time for about one more question.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey. Do you consider your job to be stressful?
Yes. Yeah, it is stressful, but when you like to do something, the stress kind of goes away when you're doing it. So as you get into it, into the rhythm of your job, it seems like the stress takes care of itself.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for the great questions. I thought that was really interesting and some really good things asked. And thank you, Heather, for joining us.
Oh, thank you. This is my pleasure.
Well, have a great day, and thanks again for joining us here in Mission Control.
Bye.